He's talked about being number 2, but who's number 1 in the East, Matthew?
The Detroit
That's
Pistons.
right. So Shams is reporting that Detroit is internally optimistic that Cade Cunningham can return from the collapsed lung in time for the first round. So the Pistons reevaluate him. They're going to do that in about 1 week. And with the playoffs starting on April the 19th, the window is tight, but it's real, right? Detroit went 6-2 without him, though, Matthew. So my question is, does Cade coming back actually make the Pistons scarier, or have they already proven they can compete without him?
Oh, 100% it makes them scarier. I mean, they've proven they can hold their own without him, but
Mm-hmm.
that he's the engine that makes the whole team move. Like,
Okay.
we were talking about how we've had this Danish Jenkins explosion.
And Danish Jenkins again.
Yeah,
Yep.
we've talked about how he's averaged 20 since Cade's been gone, but you
Yeah.
don't want to be counting on that going into the
Yeah.
playoffs. Like when you got to play killers, like when you got to play the Celtics, or I mean, maybe against some of them teams, against the Magic, I guess Danish Jenkins could be your point guard because the Magic going to let you score 31 in a row and just keep turning it over and coughing it up. Yes, I mean against some teams you can risk not having Cade, but against like once you get to that second round, then moving forward, because if you're the Pistons, obviously the goal is to be playing into June. You need Cade there because we were talking about Brown and Tatum like a 1A, 1B thing. But in the case of Cunningham, he is the team. A lot of nights he's their leading point guy, their leading rebound guy, their leading assist guy, and their leading steal guy. So, I mean, he's one of those like Swiss Army knife type players where he can impact the game in so many different ways.
So many different ways, yeah.
For him to not be there is it's huge because you're not just missing scoring, you're missing a little bit of everything. In addition to missing your leader, your calm, cool, collected, young MVP candidate. So you want to get him back in there. I guess if it's the first round, it's the first round. It might be kind of nice to get him in like the last regular season game or the last 2 regular season games, just to get your sea legs going into the playoffs. But also if you're the Pistons, you hope for a little bit of luck in the play-in, and I think you kind of hope for Orlando. Yeah. Well, I think you hope for Orlando, or you hope for maybe a version of the Sixers without Embiid. Or
Orlando for sure.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, you hope for Orlando. You probably don't hope for Charlotte because Charlotte's a team that they're probably not going to beat you in the first round, but they might run you out of the gym a couple games. So you might have to go 6 or 7 to beat Charlotte.
Make you work harder. Yep.
Exactly. Miami is kind of coming apart in some ways at the seams. Like, they've never really had it together on the offensive side this year, besides maybe one night.
Ever since Jimmy Butler left.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're still a contender, a back-end contender. I mean, they're still well coached. But when you see a team that we associate with defensive principles giving up 147 points in a game to the Celtics, at some point you say, okay, well, I don't think it's Miami's year. And at some point you might say it's not Miami's year when you look at the roster and realize, wow, I don't know, but 3 or 4 players on this whole entire roster, and I watch basketball every single day. So you hope for a little luck. I think it's flexible if you're the Pistons, who you want in the first round. Okay. But I think you'd love to get the Magic in that first round. So we'll see what happens. But they desperately need Cade back because their ceiling without him is probably the second round, and their ceiling with him is playing into June because it's going to be a huge matchup. If Cade's healthy, it'll be a huge matchup if there's no upset between the Pistons and the Celtics, potentially in the third round. So there's no guarantees because you got the Knicks. You got teams on the horizon. Cleveland's still out there. I know people. I know we're going to talk about Cleveland, but you need Cade back. I don't even know why we have to do this topic because it's obvious. You need Cade back if you're Detroit.
All right, so Matthew, let's look at this. So with their 6-2 record without him, it's pretty impressive on the surface, right? But let's dig a little bit deeper, a little bit more into it, right? So let's look at the 2 losses. One was an overtime to the Hawks, and then the other one was a tight one with the Thunder, which that really just blew my mind, showing the ceiling what they can do without him. So Cade was averaging 25 and 9 assists before he went down, and Detroit's half-court offense becomes a completely different animal, like you said, when he's running it. So the key question is conditioning, Matthew. So a collapsed lung isn't like a soft tissue or bruise, right? Coming back rusty in game one of a playoff is like a real risk. And you
Mhm.
rather, have him struck for round two than limping around in round number one. What are your thoughts on that?
It's interesting. I think it depends on who you get. I'm trying to look up the standings right now. It's not quite coming up for me, but I
Well, you,
think it
you touched on it. If you got Orlando, you're gonna love it, right? Leave him out. But if you got Charlotte, you definitely might have to throw him in there.
I think it could be on a case by case basis. You could be going against any of them. Who's there right now? I see. Oh, Toronto has fallen to 7. So that's going to be interesting, that little battle between Philly and Toronto to stay out of the play-in. They're both at 42 and 34.
Definitely
So,
don't want Charlotte and New York. Definitely don't want neither one of them.
man, I think you don't
I mean,
want
I mean
to.
Charlotte and Sixers. What I meant to say, not New York.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Sixers, it depends because in theory, you don't want the Sixers if it's Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George. But if
Yeah,
Embiid's injured and Paul George maybe's injured or somebody else gets injured, you
yeah,
never know. You might want the Sixers depending on what version of the Sixers shows up. But let's say they're
right.
healthy. You don't want the
Uh-huh.
Sixers. You probably don't want Toronto. I mean, we know Toronto can play ball. They got some players out there. They got Brandon Ingram. They got Scotty Barnes. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they got a good young core. We saw them go on a 31-0 run against
Uh-huh.
Orlando the other day. I know it's Orlando. I know they're struggling. I think the team you really want is Orlando. But
Right.
any of these teams, you can test it out. You can say game one, we're holding Cade out. Okay, if you win game one, game two, we're holding Cade out. You win game two, even if you lose game three, you could work to get him back by game four, game five, but you just do it on a case by case basis. Because if you lose game one, then right away you're thinking, okay, when can Cade come back? Can he come back now? Or does it have to be, whenever? But you do
Yeah.
yourself a favor if you get a good matchup, which, is not really up to them, but also if you come out and win game one. And really, if you really defend home court and win the first two games, you potentially can give Cade a rest for the whole first round. So it's kind of up to the team to just come out and take care of business at home, and then potentially Cade can get some more time to rest and